Hello everyone, welcome to Currentaffairs Hub. So in this IPM series, we are everyday discussing daily MCQs and answer writing practice for UPSC examination, followed by a discussion. Today's IPM series, we will be discussing about the top 5 don'ts for UPSC Mains Examination. Today's Hindu paper is not available, so this video will focus upon the top 5 don'ts for UPSC Mains Examination. You know very well, this UPSC examination consists of 3 main stages. First stage is the UPSC Prelims examination, where every year 10 lakh candidates apply for this examination, and out of that only 5 lakh candidates appear for the exam, and out of the 5 lakhs only 10,000 odd candidates clear for the next stage mains examination. And in the mains examination, from the 10,000 candidates who are writing this exam, basically don't differ in the knowledge level too much. Overall, these 10,000 candidates will be having the basic ingredient or knowledge to clear the mains examination, but rather only 2,000 candidates are picked for the final stage or the personality round. Why this happens? Because these candidates, 8,000 candidates who don't clear, they repetitively do many mistakes inside the exam hall. So we will be discussing what are mistakes you can avoid so that you should not repeat this mistake inside the exam hall. Is it clear? Now we will go into the first don't for UPSC mains exam. Not understanding the question properly. Sir, how can you say this? You can ask me, because everybody will be having a basic English knowledge and they can understand it. But even then, why candidates fail in this examination? See friends, it's very easy. We'll discuss this with the help of a question which was asked in UPSC Mains in 2016 GS paper 1. Discuss the role of women in the freedom struggle, especially during the Gandhian phase. 12.5 marks, answer in 150 words. Friends, for this particular question, when I am mentoring the students in the test series, what happened is that many of them, when we give this particular question, they will be started writing on all the freedom fighters like Sarojini Naidu and all the list of women freedom fighters, and they will feel that they have written the answer correctly. But that is not the right approach for this particular question, because whenever they ask you to discuss the role of women in the freedom struggle, you have to talk whether their role is active role, dormant role or extinct role, or whether they played a positive role or negative role. So you have to go into these dimensions rather than talking about the personalities. Is it clear? So most of the candidates who fail in this examination, they don't understand the question and they write whatever they have prepared for this examination, and with that approach you can clear any school, college examination or any other examination other than UPSC. But in UPSC, if you want to clear mains examination, you should first understand the question properly. Is it clear? Now we'll move on to the second don'ts. Not addressing the question completely. How does this happen? See, basically friends, what candidates repetitively do mistake is that they don't address all the components of the question in the answer completely. That is first part of the mistake. For example, this particular question which was asked in UPSC Mains 2022 GS paper 1, explore and evaluate the impact of work from home on family relationships. 10 marks, answer in 150 words. What happened is that most of the candidates who try to address these kind of questions, they will be writing more on evaluation segment or more on exploring segment without balancing the components. Or there are people who don't talk about the dimensions of impact. That is, you have to talk about the positive impact the work from home has on family relationship, as well as the negative impact. And when you do the evaluation segment, you have to say the positive impact or negative impact is good for society or bad for society. Is it clear? And when you write the exploring component in this particular question, you need to talk about the various components of society, such as rural society, what is happening, and in urban society, what is the impact of work from home on family relationship. And then you can talk about various vulnerable sections such as women, OBCs, SC/STs, religious minorities, as well as you can talk about the various regions of the world. Since this particular question is not just about India, you can talk about developed countries, the impact, and the developing countries impact, and the least developed countries, or you can talk about African countries. Is it clear? This is how you need to address the components of the question and the dimensions of the question completely. Then only you can fetch the maximum mark inside the exam hall. Is it clear? Now we'll move into the third major component, that is the top 5 don'ts. Third major don't is not managing the time efficiently. This most of the times happens in the GS paper 4. Even this year when I am mentoring the main students, what feedback they have given to me is that they were unable to complete the ethics paper, and this is not the problem in this particular year. This is happening the UPSC examination in the last 5 to 6 years. Students find it very difficult to complete the GS paper 4 ethics. The main reason behind that is, whenever you write an ethics answer, you need to write various examples, and for writing the examples you have to include include examples from your personal life, and you can include examples from current affairs, and you can include examples from the lives of administrators, as well as you can apply the moral thinkers theory while writing the answers. But all these things you have to do when you prepare for the examination during the notes making process itself. You should not come to the exam hall and there you start thinking for answering the question or thinking about writing the examples. That will consume most part of your time. And in addition to that, what the UPSC examiner do is that they try to ask the question very lengthy in GS paper 4. One such example is even this year UPSC Mains 2022 paper 4 ethics paper, a particular question was asked. We will discuss that now. The rules and regulations provided to all the civil servants are same, yet there is difference in the performance. Positive minded officers are able to interpret the rules and regulations in favor of the case and achieve success, whereas negative minded officers are unable to achieve goals by interpreting the same rules and regulations against the case. Discuss with illustrations. 10 marks, answer in 150 words. Is it clear? This is how UPSC test your time management skill. So what you have to do is that before going to the exam hall, you should have a proper clear strategy, because when you approach the first 3 papers of GS, that is GS paper 1, 2, 3, you have 9 minutes for every question. But while answering the ethics paper, you have 2 sections, section A and section B. In section A, you can spend maximum 6 minutes for one question, and in section B, you can spend 20 minutes for case studies. If you have this clear time management approach in your preparation process, you can bring it in your practice and you can improve that. Is it clear? Now moving on to the fourth don't, not practicing the answer writing regularly. This is the common problem with UPSC aspirants, friends, because today most of the candidates fail in this examination not because of lack of preparation or lack of knowledge or lack of understanding the examination. Rather, it is not practicing the answer writing regularly and getting inputs properly from a right mentor. When you do this only, you can improve what are the weak areas or gray areas in your answer writing and how you can work on that. The one best example is even this year UPSC Mains essay paper. There was one particular question. We'll discuss that now. The time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. It carries 125 marks. Answer in 1000 to 1200 words. Even in yesterday's IPM series, we have discussed about how to write an essay for UPSC Mains exam. So the most important aspect in writing an essay is it should have a multi-dimensional approach. For example, you can talk about historical, political, social, geographical, environmental, philosophical, ethical, sports, regional, all these aspects. Is it clear? And how to bring those kind of approaches? See, for example, this particular essay says that prevention is better because before a problem coming or when the problem is about to come or when it's happening, you have to sort out that time only, and you should not do the mistake later, and you should not do the rectification process later. How we can interlink this into various dimensions? In historically, you can quote the examples of Alexander, Napoleon, Hitler, or Chola dynasty from India, or any medieval kingdoms, and you say that how a king who is very proactive in defending his country as well as while conquering a country is able to win the war. Rather, a king who is not bothered about all this or who is less prepared to handle this war scenario are able to fail in this war. So you can quote those examples. And when you write the political dimension, you can quote the example of 1857 revolt when the Britishers was unprepared to handle the revolt. When they learned the lesson and when they were proactive, they were able to prevent such revolts in future. So you can quote that. And you can also quote this year Bangalore floods in the geographical dimension because the Bangalore city municipal administration did not take any proactive or preventive measure, especially the drainage works, which is much required before a flood is going to happen in the country, because already this year India is witnessing extreme floods due to the impact of climatic change. We have faced the extreme floods in Assam also, but the Bangalore municipal administration was very lazy or lethargic and it was not proactive. So instead of spending less money in the proactive stage only, now it has spent so much money in the mitigation measure. Is it clear? Like this you can quote the various dimensions in your answer and you can get the maximum marks. And how all these things will happen when you practice the answers very regularly, then only you will have the ability to write multiple dimensions in a very efficient manner. And going into the fifth don'ts, not managing the stress rightly. This is very important quality, friends, because in UPSC examination most of the genuine candidates fail in this exam not because of IQ, rather because of not having the proper EQ, emotional quotient. So how to work on that? You should have the preset thought in your mind. For example, let's discuss this particular UPSC mains question which was asked in GS paper 2 in 2016. What was held in the Kohilo case? In this context, can you say that judicial review is the key importance among the basic structures of the constitution 12 1.5 marks, answer in 150 words. And for this particular question, if you don't know inside the examination hall, you should not react in such a manner that it affects the quality of other answers. Is it clear? When you have this approach, you can at least write the questions which you know very well in a very good manner. And suppose if you are emotionally stable, you can also think about how to write at least the contents which you know you can link to this particular question and get some minimum marks inside the examination hall. Suppose for this particular question, at least you can talk about judicial review, because most of you would be knowing about that, and basic structures of constitution, even if you don't know about the Coelho case. So instead of leaving that, you can answer these components. And when this approach will come, only when you are emotionally stable inside the exam hall. So you need to work on that particular aspect also. And I hope this session is very useful to you. We'll meet in tomorrow's session, friends. Thanks for watching.